Go ahead. I mean, you could just do the whole show by yourself. I'm fine.
No, I'm out of breath now. How's everything going?
It says that you have a little bit of an echo. People are Marcus and Dawn saying you're having a little of an echo. Is that true?
Appreciate that. Marco, if you can check that out, if we do have an echo. Okay. Wayne Anderson. How you doing, Wayne? Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in.
Before we get started, I want to give a little shout out to the OGs, the people, the faithful that keep coming back every week. Some of the people that are super faithful are Jamal, Marcus, Florian. These are the dudes that I see here every single time. I just want to say appreciate you so that, well, I mean, even if you weren't here, me and Nick would have a good time just talking, but we appreciate you in any way. What the?
We got an echo.
Anthony, wait, did you already leave, Anthony? There's a Anthony receiver for Health. Oh my gosh, what is it? Is it Helvetic still?
Helvetic Mercenaries.
Yeah, Helvetic. Wait, he said he was going to come by and see me down in Waco, but I can't remember when we were supposed to do that. And hopefully he didn't leave because I still would like to see you, Anthony. If not, you can just give me a call. Anyway, I'm doing well. Thank you for that introduction and that slight tangent. But yeah, welcome everybody. Let's jump right into it. You talk about Madrid, and I'll talk about Switzerland because that's my spot.
All right, guys, there we go. Hey, let us know real quick in the chats if we still have an echo. We're working on that. Sorry if we do, we'll get it fixed. But we're now going to jump into Silas's favorite section, Stadium News. And we've got the news of where Madrid will be playing. They're going to be playing, of course, in the Spanish capital of Madrid. And they're playing at the beautiful Estadio Vallehermoso. How was that pronunciation? All of our Spanish speakers, probably pretty good.
Not good. It's Valle.
Not good?
It's got to be Valle. Vallehermoso.
That's true. You live in Texas, so you probably got that. You probably should have done that one. But the good thing about this stadium, Silas, is that it's actually like in Madrid proper, the city, and it's right by a university. This is an absolutely massive win for the organization because it makes it so much more convenient for people to go to games, and maybe people who are kind of like casual fans. Like, we don't think of Spain as a huge American football fan market, but this is the opportunity for a lot of people, especially people at the university, to become fans of the Madrid Bravos. So them being there at that stadium is absolutely huge. What do you think, Silas?
Yeah, man. I mean, it looks pretty awesome too. That's gonna be a cool little place. But I'm more excited about the Helvetic Mercenaries. That's still hard for me, bro. Still hard for me. I feel like we could have kept the Helvetic guards.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like this is gonna be a Washington Redskins situation where people are like, let's go back to the original. I don't feel like there were a lot of Swiss guards out there who were super offended by us. I don't think they knew we existed. But anyway, moving on to the home stadiums for the Helvetic Mercenaries. We got two this year. They're going to be two of the games are going to be played in Stadion Brühl in Grenchen, which is like closer to Bern, the capital of Switzerland. Dang, bro, we still got
There it is.
Some echo. Sorry, guys, for the echo.
Marco, can you double check that? We still have an echo according to everyone in the chat, so we'll make sure we can get that fixed. Sorry about the echo, guys.
Anthony says, sounds like he's speaking from the stadium right now.
Hey, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. We're working on it. But until then, just imagine yourself in a seat and me and Nalf are in a stadium booth talking. All right.
And that's why there's an echo.
This is a new feature of the ELF live show. It's called Stadium Vibes. All right. And so the rest of the games for the Helvetic Mercenaries are going to be played at Stadion Kleinfeld in Krems. And so if you know German, it's a really cool stadium. If you don't know German, this is a massive field. It's like huge.
You're killing it, man. You're killing it.
It's
For
close.
those who don't know German, Klein literally means small.
Yeah, it does mean small. Close to Zurich. I actually, I want to say this is the one I went to. I can't remember, but one of them they had the stadium. I think it's Kleinfeld that they had the Swiss Bowl at, and it's got like a beautiful backdrop of the mountains. So it gives me a little bit of the Innsbruck Raiders.
Nice.
Vibe. Yeah. So it's really nice. What I do like about it is that it's smaller, and that makes the games a lot more energetic. So that's the two home stadiums: Helvetic, Mercenaries.
There we go. A little bit more intimate. All right, there's our stadium news, and hopefully our echo is gone. Somebody said RT commented Mexican radio station. That's funny. It's called stadium mode, as Silas said. It's called stadium mode. So moving on, 2024 merch collection. We got some new fan wear, and Marco, our producer, is going to put up some of these here so we can look through these. Let's give through a little bit of the team wear collections. What do we got, Marco?
Hey, here's a question for you, Nick.
Yeah.
If you, and this is a question for you and also the chat.
Okay.
If you were gonna rock one jersey in America to like that you would be proud of to represent the league, which jersey would it be?
That's a good question, man. That's a good question. You know what? It might have to be Paris. I just think it's such an iconic city. Their uniforms just with Paris across the front. I like their colors. I think that would get a lot of intrigue from people in the States. Like, what is that, a football jersey for Paris? And I think that's what I would rock. What would you pick?
Yeah, my first thought was Frankfurt Galaxy, because back in the day, Madden had Frankfurt Galaxy on it. And here's the crazy part. I remember that was back when you could do create a team. I don't know if you can still do that now, but I would create a team that was like 99 on everything. And then I would play against the Frankfurt Galaxy, who was like the lowest or one of the lowest, just absolutely destroy them. Like the score was like 105-0.
You gotta get
all of that to say, I feel like the Frankfurt Galaxy has a lot of it's the most recognizable football brand in Europe, I think.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you though. Like if I was like gonna be in the States just rocking a random jersey, Paris is actually kind of sick. And I think it would be like super trendy because it's almost like like so out there that people be like, oh, that's sick. It's like, what?
It's fashionable. I feel like it is. It's kind of, there's something there. It's kind of cool. We got some RT Blue said Prague Lions rebranded, and Michael Klein said the best is Barcelona Dragons. They're actually going to go. So here we can see a couple photos of the new team wear merch stuff of some of the teams we were just talking about. Look at that Paris one right there on the right, the Paris hoodie.
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
I like the. Yeah, I feel like Paris is like the cool kid, the new cool kid, who is like, we don't know if he's actually for real or not.
But he seems cool.
He seems really cool. He seems like
there
like,
we go. That's
like, oh man, I want to be a part. Like I want to be a part of whatever he's got going on.
That's a perfect way to describe Paris. They're the cool new kid. They're like, they dress cool. They seem like they do cool stuff, and we're gonna see how cool they really are this year on the field, which I think they're going to be pretty good. They're getting off track anyway. So that's our Def Shop collab here with the new merch stuff, and then we've got one more piece of news for you guys on the ELF Gamepass. we're going to have a new feature, the ELF Zone. And it is essentially, for those of you guys who know about NFL Red Zone, this is going to be similar to NFL Red Zone, where you'll be able to watch one stream that'll bounce back and forth between the really exciting action of the games, of multiple games, which will be quite excited to be able to have. What do you think of that, Silas?
I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. I was trying to figure out maybe if the echo was, if I put headphones on, the echo would go away. Can you say that one more time?
Maybe. Yeah, it's well, the chat got it. It's about the ELF zone, basically it's an NFL Red Zone for the ELF Gamepass, which is an exciting new feature for people on the Gamepass. Let's see if that echo goes away.
I think that's great. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I mean, I'm all for it.
Cause I'm a bad dick. Cause I'm a bad dick. Look out, if he gets a seam, this will turn into a foot race. He's gonna win this foot race. He's gonna sprint coast to coast. Jordan Bua goes house.
2nd down and 4. Sullivan skips the pocket, looking back the other way into the end zone. He's got his man. Touchdown, Riegler.
Oyewo down the sideline. Fresha giving chase. He will not be caught. 10-5. Touchdown, Ravens.
Aber vielleicht ist es das, vielleicht musst du die beiden auf einem von denen.
There we go. So we just saw a little commercial for that ELF zone that'll be on the ELF Game Pass. So that's what we got. So moving on to our weekly signing center. And the first one that we've got this week is a big one. Marlon Wertman. It's gone from the Stuttgart Surge to the Munich Ravens. This is a big signing. So Marlon's actually a guy that I had the chance to play with in my last year in Schwäbisch Hall, and then he went over to Stuttgart to play under Coach Jordan Newman. Fantastic player, big kid. He was an NFL IPP invitee. He's only 22 years old, just probably one of the better offensive linemen in the ELF. And he has switched over from Stuttgart to Munich, which is essentially Stuttgart's biggest rival. A lot of drama here in southern Germany with this change-up. But Munich, of course, has Joe Thomas, the Hall of Fame offensive lineman, and a lot of offensive linemen are attracted to that to be able to go play with Joe Thomas, so it makes sense. So Marlon Wertman moving from the Stuttgart Surge to the rival Munich Ravens.
That's a big one, man. That's a big one. I would be curious to find out how those conversations went with Jordan, because I know that Jordan over at Stuttgart, head coach, loves to get his own linemen because he knows how important they are. And it's rare that you see Jordan Newman lose a player. And I think you're right on. I think you hit it right on the head. If I'm an O lineman and I'm in Southern Germany, I'm going to play where Joe Thomas is at. It's great that Stuttgart is a good team. They're the championship finalists, and you got Jordan Newman there. But specifically as an O lineman, it's hard to pass that up. I wouldn't personally pass that up if I was trying to really develop as a player and potentially even go to the States and play, become the best player that you can be as an O lineman. Go get coached by the best. And I know that Jordan understands that, so I'm sure he gave him his best pitch, but deep down he probably understood as well, you probably should go get coached by that guy.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, of course it always sucks to lose a recruit or lose a recruiting battle like that, but Jordan's the type of guy who always wants the best for his players, and that's pretty cool to have Joe Thomas there. So that's a big one. That's what we got. And then Silas, you want to take us on our next one? He's a running back, just like you.
Yeah, moving on, we got Sanka Moudkori. He signed him French. He's a homegrown. He played as a import in Germany last year. He played actually in the GFL with the Ingolstadt Dukes, but he is going back to Paris going back to France, playing with the Paris Musketeers. I mean, I don't know much about this guy, but if he was an import in Germany from France, he must be pretty good, because teams don't take imports unless they've proven that they are going to be overall probably better than most of their homegrowns around them. So that's going to be like yet another good signing for a strong Paris team.
Yeah, man. I mean, Paris is they're loading up. And obviously, yeah, you never go with, no one goes with A's at running back anymore, basically. So you might have been the last American running back in the ELF. But that's the thing, you have to get really good European running backs, and Paris has done that just there with this signing. So then the last signing that we've got in our signing center for this week is a wide receiver, Kevin Kea, going to the Frankfurt Galaxy. He's going to be playing there with Markel Castle, getting the ball thrown to him from good old Luke Zaradka. He's French. He's 29 years old. He's tall. He's like 6'3", and so he's a long player. He had some experience in the CFL and a lot of achievements in college as well. So great signing for the Frankfurt Galaxy. Good.
Yeah, that's huge.
So that's what we got in our signing center, guys. And now we're going to be moving on to an interview with the new head coach, Helvetic Mercenaries. Bring him in.
There we go.
Coach Val Gunn, the new head coach of the Helvetic Mercenaries. Welcome to the show, Coach.
You might
nice to
move
join
this
you
way.
guys.
Move the other way. Other way.
There we go.
There we go. Good job, Coach.
Better, Silas?
That's better.
There you go.
Good job.
Hey, nice to see you guys. I was talking to Nick just a little bit earlier about catching up on some of the shows that have been going on. You guys have been really busy.
Yeah, we've done a lot.
Busy,
This is definitely the most, I guess, hyped a season in the ELF has ever been. We've never done anything like this, and we've been talking, rambling on for the last 19 weeks now. Nick, how many episodes have we done?
Yeah, wow, it's been 19 shows. Yeah, 19.
19 shows, and we're ready to get this season started, man.
Yeah, I know. It's been, of course, it's a whirlwind for me. So, just with everything that's happened with the changing, of all that stuff. So it's, yeah.
Yeah. Could you, Coach, could you tell us a little bit about that situation and kind of how it went down from your perspective? Were you connected with it while it was still the Guards, and then how everything went down with now being the Helvetic Mercenaries and your journey on that?
Peripherally, Zeki, was one of the shareholders or someone involved with the Guards, had originally come down to Istanbul, kind of see the facilities and stuff that we had put together in Istanbul, and really liked it. And I stayed in contact a bit with them and with Matt and those guys. So yeah, it was sort of peripherally, and I was watching it. The Istanbul situation kind of, left a bad taste in my mouth, as hard as I, because that was just one that I worked so hard and was doing so many jobs for it. So yeah, so it was kind of like I was not really focused on coming back and coaching at all, to be honest with you. But this has just been a weird year, and it was the right time, and it was. I'm honored and thankful, that we're able to get to spend some time in Switzerland.
Coach, so you talked about, Istanbul leaving a bad taste in your mouth. What do you worry about just a lot of lack of infrastructure as you go to Switzerland, and just the difficulty that will come with not having all the things that you need?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, you have those concerns, and but you also have to build it from somewhere. And the difference is when you have the people in place that it might not be there immediately, but you know that down the road you can get there. And that comes with individuals that have to be in the right mindset. They have to understand that it's a business, that this isn't the GFL or one of these things anymore, right? You have to take it seriously, and I think the approach, Silas, and I know the situation from last year, but I think that's improved, and that part I have confident that we can get there. I do feel like we're, even though it's second year in the league, you're basically restarting a franchise, right, and going through that. So we're gonna hopefully they can learn from some of those mistakes that they made, and then they can take the stuff that I went through in Istanbul and kind of take that and go from there.
Yeah, Coach, could you touch on a little bit of maybe what you learned in the experience in Istanbul with the Rams situation, and kind of the wisdom and knowledge you gained from that situation, how you'll bring that to the Mercenaries this year, especially like a team that's kind of, just starting out?
Right. I think a lot of that, and you had Zach Blair, who played for me there, who I love in Istanbul. And one of the things is it's not a bad thing necessarily to have an underdog mentality and going into that. And I think that the Swiss guys are going to thrive on that, and that's going to help. And Turkey was the same way. I think had the arrangements been a little bit different, the potential was through the roof with Istanbul. And even in that starting game against the Centurions, honestly, we should have won that game and had some drop passes, and the excitement was there. And then first half of several other games, they hung right with them. So I think I can take that and bring that mentality to them, that they're going to play with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and really not back down from anyone as the season goes along. I think the schedule's favorable, at least to start, and then the back end of that thing is brutal. But what we're hoping is that we can build from week to week through the season.
Coach, I know that you got the opportunity to coach. You've been in Europe for a while, so that gives me some confidence. Just, I guess, what is your mindset when things like, a practice field isn't available and you guys don't have a place to practice? Like, how do you as a head coach, like, stay focused on a goal when basic necessities will sometimes just not be there for your team?
Right. So the rule of thumb is that you worry about what you can control, and that's the stuff that you focus on. The stuff that you can't control, you can't worry about that stuff. So our goal is, if it ends up being a parking lot at a supermarket, we're going to have the best practice in that, and that's not going to be the case. But that's what you have to do. You have to focus on the positive side of that and maximizing that. We're in a better situation this year, so we have practice facilities now, so that's great, Silas. So we have that. In fact, that's all done, and we're ready to rock and roll with that. So I think in some of those things that were not in place are in much better place this year. But control what you can control, and don't worry about anything else.
Yeah.
Coach, you have tons of experience coaching throughout Europe in many different countries. So you kind of been around the block in this European football world. What is your just general opinion on the rise of the European League of Football? This will be the second team that you're involved with in the ELF. But from your perspective, after being involved in European football for so long, what are your thoughts of the ELF as a league?
Well, really, third team, Nick, if you think about it, Wrocław, I was the head coach there. So
true. Yeah, that's true. That's 2019, right?
Honestly, it's the only reason I would be in Europe at all, is because of this league. I really believe in what Patrick and Jelko are trying to do and trying to accomplish. And it's a startup league. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be issues. It's not going to, but if you're asking, like, if there's any potential whatsoever to have something bigger and better than anything that's ever been out there, this is it. So, and that's what draws me back. I'm excited for the league. I love it. I love the competition. I think this year, you guys are right. It's deeper than it's ever been. You have better players than it's been. Look at the coaching staffs. Coaching staffs are great as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just crazy to see all the talent, both players and coaches, that are flocking to the league, and every single year it seems to be getting better and better. I kind of have, Coach, I have a question that's a little bit not so much about football. So Silas, if you have another football question, go ahead. And then I'm going to ask you this other one.
Yeah, let me ask one more football question. For one, are you already in Switzerland, or are you still in the States?
So I arrived today. So it was that long travel day yesterday and into today. So forcing myself to stay awake, so we not too jet lagged to go through that and get it ready. But yeah, no, I'm here.
What city are you guys living in?
We're going to be in Basel.
Basel. Okay, yeah, I love that place. So I guess the question for me is, have you already met with all the players, or have you only communicated through like the WhatsApp group?
Yeah, pretty much through the WhatsApp group. We've had some meetings. In fact, and later tonight is a defensive meeting going through that. Of course, a number of conversations with the import players. So and some of those guys got the playbook and things like that. So that's all going through the process. So quarterback, Carlton's gotten the playbook. Anthony has gotten the playbook. So we're getting there on it.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you go to ask your question, Nick. I have a lot of questions, but we don't need to talk about those on this show right now.
Yeah, I understand.
All right, I have a little bit of a left field question here, Coach. You are also a successful author as well. And I'm wondering, Silas and I are also guys that have been creative, doing film and YouTube and creative projects, and also being football players. You being a creative person yourself, also being in the football world. Is there any kind of connection or crossover skills, in your opinion, from being a creative writer and then also being a head football coach? Or is it totally separate entities for you, as kind of just an escape from the football world?
Well, part of it, yeah, the escape is there. But one thing in doing that is, when you have your imagination stoking you through writing, you get that imagination going. It does transfer over, because if you've seen our offense, with either the Panthers or Istanbul, said that's not just a lineup, boring go. It's going to be different, and defenses are going to have to understand what they're going to go up against. So I think that the mentality is there from an innovative and creative standpoint on both sides. And I fit better with teams that are like that are willing to embrace that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Well, Coach, hey, we appreciate you coming on the show after your big, long travel from the States over here to Europe. We know that's a big day when you're coming from the States and you're trying to stay up, and you got some meetings later tonight. So we really appreciate you coming on the show, especially on this day, and wishing you guys all the best down there in beautiful Switzerland, and great to have you back in the ELF, Coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really appreciate it, guys. And I appreciate what you guys are doing. I followed Silas and you, Nick, a long time, your YouTube channels and everything else. So it's wonderful that you guys are really taking a role in this. It's great to see.
Well, I appreciate that. Thanks so
much,
much,
Coach. We appreciate it.
And when you meet with the guys, tell them that Silas wishes them the best and misses them a lot. And I'll hopefully be coming to visit you and your team this year.
For sure. That's awesome. You're always welcome. Either one of you.
Well, not
Thanks,
Nick.
Coach.
He's not.
All right, Coach. We appreciate it.
All right.
One at a time.
See you,
One
Coach.
at a
See you,
time.
Coach.
Small
No,
doses.
he's not a Helvetic guy.
There you go. All right, guys. Have a great
I'm
evening.
Helvetic.
All right. You too. All the best.
Bye. There we go. Man, Coach is awesome.
Yeah, really, really, really nice guy. I'm very, like I said, I have a lot of questions for him, and we couldn't get to a lot of them on the show. I could talk for hours, and I'd like to just hear his hey, what's your first thoughts of Switzerland and where you want to go to and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
I'll have to get with him at some point this season.
Well, that's like the tough thing about, a show like this where your interview slots are like 10, 15 minutes, tops, as opposed to a traditional podcast where you're just sitting with a person for an hour and you can go way deeper on some stuff. So, right. I know, man. I bet there's a ton that you guys can talk about.
Yeah.
All right. So
let's jump into the next section.
I think we're going to go to a commercial real quick, and then we're going to go into mine and Silas's top 5 wide receivers. So we will see you in a moment after our little commercial break.
With a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, we can now order it on Euronics.
Sí, ¿vos de qué parte sos? Yo de aquí. Ah, mira.
Sure. Boom. All right, we're back. And this is the section, I think, which is going to become most popular around the league each week, and that is our top 5. Anytime we list like our best or our worst, it's always controversial, and people love it. So we're going to jump right into Nick and I got our top 5 wide receivers. And Marco, are we going 5 to 1? I think we're going to start with 5, and we're going to go up to our number 1. Now, this is an interesting.
We're going 5 bottom up.
This is an interesting concept. It's difficult, and here's the problem. The problem is there's like American imports, there is imports, and then there's homegrowns, and those are the kind of the 3 different categories that we probably would have liked to go our top 5 with, but we only have top 5, and so. It's kind of hard to really do this, but starting at number 5 for me, I am actually I wanted to throw at least one homegrown in there, and I'm going with Philip Hahn from the Raiders. I think that the reason why I wanted to put him in there is because I genuinely think he could contend for actually one of the top 5 receivers among all receivers, including Americans. And I don't know. There were some others that I could have probably put there, but I just love the way he plays. I think he has the confidence of an American receiver when he plays. Like when you look at him, you're like, this guy. He came to this. He plays in the league like he belongs in an even better league. And so, and if you just look at his resume, he's done some pretty extraordinary things. I edited Alex Torres' highlight for like his Austrian Bowl championship, and Philip was like half of the highlight. So I'm going to put him right there at number 5.
I like that pick, man. I had him on my sleepers last week. I agree 100% with what you said. He's got that fiery attitude as well. I think I like that. I think he'll have a great year this year. My number 5, also a European. I've got Harlan Quofi. So Ryan Fire obviously had a great year this year, and he really, what really is impressive to me is how he played in the championship game, in the biggest stage in Europe, championship game, everything on the line. He had 146 yards and 2 touchdowns. obviously a great athlete. Now I talked to Jadrian, who was obviously his quarterback last year, and Jadrian said this dude is the best blocking wide receiver in the league. They often put him on the tight end side and will bring him in motion to be kind of like the lead point of attack blocker because he's so good blocking. And then obviously in the pass game, he's a standout receiver. And what Jadrian said to me is that he's really, really good at breaking on and finding where the holes in the coverage are. So on option routes, like he'll always be able to find where the holes in the coverage are. And this is why we're seeing him get a lot of like over routes. And so obviously he's a very athletic and physically talented player, but I think kind of his ability to read coverages puts him here at near the top of the league. So I got him number 5.
I like that pick.
And sorry, last point, he signed a 3-year deal. Yeah, I think he's the first in ELF history to have a 3-year contract. So last point, pretty good.
Yeah, solid pick. I like that guy. Number 4 for me, I'm going with John Cole. Munich Munich Ravens.
Whoa.
We don't have much on him. He's a newcomer to the ELF. But tore it up in the GFL, and with Chad Jeffries at quarterback, I think we're going to see a lot of production out of him. I think he's going to step in and replace Markel and do just as much damage as Markel did. That's my number 4.
Yeah, I like that, man. I like that. I mean, he's first year in the league. And he's obviously got the talent, and then we'll see how he goes this year. So we saw my number 4. It snuck in there. Nathaniel Robitaille. Big Robes, former teammate of mine. I had the pleasure of playing with him for a long time. Obviously, he was hurt for quite a bit of the season last year and had to sit out. Willie Patterson came in and sort of replaced him, and even once he got healthy, he still had to sit on the sidelines. And he was a little bit forgotten last year, I kind of feel like, until the championship game. And I think he's my age. He's like 1 year younger than me, so he's not that young. And a lot of times when receivers and skill position guys get to be this age, you see them kind of lose a step. He hasn't lost a step at all. And you look at some of his plays, especially I'm thinking of kind of the screen that he took to the house in the championship game, and you see his explosiveness. He's still got it. He's still operating at 100%. He can really do a little bit of everything. He's fast, he's physical, and I think it'll be interesting to see him out there in Hungary this year. And I just think that Big Robes is set after having to miss quite a bit last year to have a good year again. Nathaniel Robitaille.
For number 3, I got my boy Daryl Stewart Jr. from the Stuttgart Surge. Daryl Stewart, I like that, Stewart. I actually debated it with him at number 2 as 2 and 1 actually. Number 1, 2, and 3 are pretty tied, but he only played half the season last year. I think he's gonna have a breakout year. I think I had him at 2, so we might have messed this up, but maybe I just entered it wrong. But this guy had an absolute dominating playoffs, and he's just going to head into the next year and do even more there. Great guy, better ball player.
Daryl Stewart. I love it, man. I love it. Spoil alert, he's going to appear on my list as well. But fantastic pick. All right, for me, number 3. That rhyme. That's wow. Look at that. I've got the Frenchman Anthony Mahongu headed back to the home country. He's been one of the bigger name European receivers for a while, playing back with Frankfurt and then obviously with the Rhine Fire last year. He's 6'3", 210, big body, fast, strong. He played college football at Purdue. He had a little stint with the Philadelphia Eagles. So he's really got that experience. Last year, he was one of Jadrian's favorite targets. He had almost 1,000 yards and 11 touchdowns. I think him going back to his home country, back to Paris, will be kind of revitalizing for him to be playing there with Magic Zach Edwards. I think Paris is due to have kind of a breakout season as a whole. I think he's going to be a huge part of that. And I'm just really excited to see him playing for his home country. And we got Anthony Mahongu.
For me, number 2, we got the returning offensive player of the year. We got Markel Castle. I mean, there's not much to say about him. Overall rated number 2 player in the entire league, offensive player of the year. Has the breakaway speed. And we're going to see him this year with Frankfurt, back with Luke Zaradka, and yeah, I mean he's gonna have another great year. I don't foresee him dropping off at all. I don't have to talk much about him. You guys already know who it is. Number 2, Markel Castle.
Silas, that is such a good and smart and knowledgeable pick for number 2. I really, really admire and respect your intelligence as an analyst, as a host. Marco, put up my number 2. Okay, so hey man, you said it. Obviously offensive player of the year last year. Crazy stats. He had like 1,500 yards. I think that he had like 34% more yards than the next highest receiver. Can do a little bit of everything. He can take screens to the house. He can be a deep threat. It's going to be very interesting to see him playing with Luke Zaradka, who's probably has one of the biggest arms in Europe. And so, I mean, you said a lot of it, Silas. Markel Castle is one of the best receivers in Europe, and I think everybody would agree with us. Markel Castle.
Which brings us to number 1, and I'm loyal. I'm a loyal old guy, and I'm doing it for you. I hope you're watching. I hope you save this video, and I hope you post it. Number 1 receiver in this league, Big Robes. And let me just say this. All right. Nick didn't even have you on the list until I sent my list in. He didn't have you on the list, bro. And then he said, oh, let me change it. Let me add Robes in there. All right. I just want you to know that I'm loyal. I'm loyal to the old guys, to the old heads. The reason why I have Roby at number 1 is because just pure experience of the game, intelligence of the game. Like Roby, every season he's ever played in Europe, which is about like 14, 15, 25 seasons, whatever it is, he's absolutely balled out. And he he got hurt, but then he came back and then it didn't lose a step and then like dominated in the playoffs. So it's like, I think there's that aspect of it, but then also there's the aspect of just understanding the European football game. Like he, out of all the other American receivers, he is way more knowledgeable than all of them when it comes to the overall game. And I think he can play outside. He can play inside. I think his quickness is still number 1 in Europe. And so I got Big Robes at number 1.
Hey man, I like it. Big Robes, former teammate, still got it. I'm very, very curious to see how it is out there in Hungary for him. And what that experience is like. He's been in Germany and then he went up in Finland, of course, for a little bit, but this will be a different one. And so I think I like it, man. I mean, he's 4 on my list, but you know, he could be number 1. He's number 1 in my heart. All right, my number 1 is people are gonna think I'm biased, but it's the truth. It's Darryl Stewart Jr. Silas, you had him on your list at number 3. You talked about maybe having him at number 2. So Darryl came in and only played in 8 games last year. He played with 3 different starting quarterbacks. The only reason that he even got to come be a part of the surge is because Reilly got hurt and they were taking Jan Weinreich, who is a German, to be quarterback, which created another opening for an A. So they brought in another A receiver. And this is what got Darryl into the league last year with the surge. And he just exploded from the get-go. Like I said, playing with Jan, playing with Kenny Allen, and then playing with Riley Hennessy. It didn't matter which quarterback was in there. He was dominating. And then the big thing is his playoff run, man. It was 3 games with 545 yards and 6 touchdowns. Like I said earlier, the biggest stage when everything matters, when everything's on the line, playing the best teams, he really showed out. And to watch him in person, he really like dominated some of these American DBs, like just kind of in a different league, in a different category. I'm wildly impressed with what he did last year, and I'm just very curious to see what he does with a full season, and also with Riley Hennessy healthy, and then being able to have that connection all season. So Darrell Stewart Jr.
Absolutely.
That's what we got.
Now, I do want to say one thing, because the chat brought it up, and I want to clarify here too. Why is Jarvis McClanahan not on the list? I thought about Jarvis. The only reason why I didn't put Jarvis on this list is because I'm putting Jarvis in like this athlete column now. Like, I think I would like put him in where I was playing last year. So last year, like half the season I was like listed as a running back, half the season I was like a wide receiver. And so I wouldn't have been on either category. I would just been like an athlete. I would put Jarvis in the athlete column, because I think you play in the backfield. I think you play on in the slot at outside, and he'd probably be my number one athlete. That's why I didn't put him on this list. For those wondering why Jarvis is not on there, it makes total sense. But anyway,
good point, man.
I just wanted to make that point.
I like that. Jarvis, athlete weapon.
Top
for
weapon.
sure, because he really is. He's
Speaking
ATH. All right, so that's what we got. Wide receivers. Everyone always gets upset. We got a couple people in the chat. Who is that? Someone's mad because I put a surge guy at the top, of course. Who is that? Just Shots. Yeah, there we go. Taking shots at my surge pick right there. But we're going to keep doing this for different position groups, and create a little controversy, light a little bit of fire under some people. I think some people are going to be mad about those lists, of course. And we'll see how that goes and who performs this year on the field. So mentioned it in the end of that segment there with Darrell Stewart having a connection with Riley Hennessy. Speaking of, we actually have Riley joining us right now on the show. Come on
live
in,
from Stuttgart, Germany. Riley Hennessy.
Boom.
There he is. What's up,
Thanks for having
guy?
me, guys. Not much, Nick guy. Thanks for having me on the European League of Surge podcast, man.
Oh my gosh, I'm gone.
I saw that comment.
We've rebranded a little bit. We've rebranded. I'm not ashamed of my biases. Everybody has biases. So, right, guy, let's talk a little ball. You're back in Stuttgart. The first thing, man, people were talking about you retiring. You're going to be done with football and not come back. What made you change your mind and decide to come back and play another year in the ELF and for the Stuttgart Surge?
Yeah, people was me. I thought I was done. I was mostly just physically felt like I was going to be done. But it's crazy what 8 to 12 weeks does of no football and truly of taking time and trying to get your body just feeling as good as it possibly can. And it was after that it was like, man, I still have this football itch that needs to be scratched. And Coach Newman obviously is renowned for his recruiting and did a great job of being patient, I'll say. He had his options lined up, and fortunately for me, things fell through with a few people, and so he came back and kind of gave me the "Are you sure?" and had a conversation with my family and my girlfriend and a couple doctors, and decided that it's safe and okay to come back. That's a bit of an exaggeration, but yeah. So that's how we got back.
That's I would be curious to know, to pick your brain more on this idea in the future, because I've kind of had similar thoughts, and I will say, a full season is like, there's no way I would do a full season. Maybe if I was a quarterback, but as a skill player, like, nah, there's no way I got a full season in me. But I definitely could see like hopping over for a couple games, just for the fun. But yeah,
definitely. No, I mean, even going from GFL to ELF, it was a transition of going back to, those college days where, you're playing 11 games in 12 weeks, and that's just what you did. And you come over and play in some of those domestic leagues, and you've got 3 bye weeks, and it's like you take those for granted once you get back, and it's like, no, it's 14 games or 12 games in 14 weeks. And but you snap back into it, as you know, and you almost begin to appreciate that redundancy of just your schedule and your habits that fall into place each week.
Yeah.
There you go, right guy. Coming into the Surge last year, obviously the previous year the team was 0-12, and so coming in last year, there weren't these big expectations. I think a lot of people thought, okay, the Surge are going to be better. They've got Jordan Newman, they've got Riley Hennessy, they've got some of these other guys coming. Thought the Surge are going to be better, but I don't think that most people expected the Surge to make it to the championship game. Now, coming into this year, there are way higher expectations for you, for the team, for the Surge as a whole. How do you feel about that going into the season now with more, let's say, external expectations? How do you deal with that mentally?
Cliche, you just try not to think about it. I mean, we're focused on, we had practice last night. I'm mad because I felt like the defense beat us last night. And that's the only thing I think about. And we don't really focus on outside. I mean, Coach Newman does a great job of making sure we stay focused on just becoming the best team possible, whether that's practicing together, whether that's, having a team meal together, whether that's just hanging out, whether that's recovering together, whatever it is, we're just focused on being the best 2024 Surge that we possibly can. And so it's, of course, piggybacking off of last year's season. It's great, but again, the benefits of that are only that we have a few more familiar faces that and more importantly, you trust. Hardest part about a team is just creating and maintaining trust in everybody, and that's not done through words; it's done through actions. And so that's what we're in the process of doing. And hopefully, we get to do that 12 times throughout the year to get everybody else to trust us. So it's kind of that every year is that new process, and every year it's a brand new team essentially. And we're adding pieces and trying to figure out the best. I guess, what is it, 46 this year now? A few additions, 46 guys that we can roll in each week and give us the best chance to win.
Riley, what was it like playing in that championship game?
Awesome. It was the coolest football experience I've had in my life. And
it was the coolest football experience you've had in your life. You just said that?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Dang,
I hold the Italian football championship very close to my heart, because that was my first championship, and I did it with a group that I was extremely close to. So that meant a lot to me. But that championship game there, walking into a stadium where every single seat was taken and going up against a team that you had to play your best football against, and regardless of the outcome, just to be on that stage and to have earned the right to be there was, that's probably my most proud achievement thus far.
That's amazing, man. Amazing.
Attaboy, right guy. Riley, I've asked you this before, like in interviews in the past, but for our audience here of the ELF live show, I've got the chance, we got to play together. And I've always been very impressed with your leadership abilities. Of course, the quarterback always has to, just kind of by default be a leader, but some do it better than others. I'm very impressed with how you are a leader kind of on and off the field. Can you talk a little bit about maybe your leadership style?
Yeah. I am a guy who I've actually yet to give it this year, but I give it pretty much every year, especially to receivers. I'm a guy that's going to be emotional. I'm going to, when something needs to be fixed, I'm going to say it. And you might not always love the way you say it. And then I'll be the first to apologize. But especially with them, like, I'm going to get on you, but the second later, I'm going to forget about it. And if the next play, the play is designed to go to you, or you're the guy that gets open on that play, you're getting the ball. There's no hard feelings. And so I would certainly consider myself demanding, but it's only because we've all signed up to take this thing in the same direction. How else would I describe it? I kind of touched on it earlier about building trust through action. Like, it's great to say, hey, trust me. Hey, I'll be there. Hey, I'm going to be open. And it doesn't come through words, unfortunately. And so I'm a big building trust through action repeatedly. And look, we play this sport where you get to play a game 12 days a year. So you better fall in love with practicing. And that's the way we're going to build the trust. That's the way we're going to perfect the trust. And that's the way we're going to execute the trust. And so my leadership, if I had to narrow it down, is just about building trust and finding ways to do that amongst a group of men who are, in all sorts of walks of life. And I think football is probably the best sport in the world for doing that.
That's awesome, man.
Good answer, quarterback. Very quarterbackial.
Thanks, man. A lot of practice on the imported pod.
On the imported pod.
Hey, imported pod, shout out. Right, guy, I do have another question.
Yeah.
You've got three of the
flower
top
hat
wide receivers. Lewis Geyer, Darrell Stewart, and Yannick Meyer. Three of the top receivers. Some might say like the best receiving core in the league. Can you talk a little bit about these guys and their different receiving styles? I mean, they're all different players. They have different strengths. Can you talk a little bit about them as wide receivers?
Yeah, sure. Now, watching you guys make your lists, I kind of made my own lists, and I don't think it's fair I made two lists, an American list and an E list. And of course I got DJ at the top of the A list because I played against him when he was in Dresden, and then now being fortunate enough to play with him. I mean, there's nothing he can't do. I mean, he's great. He's great against any type of defense you want to put him against. And there's nothing more comforting than knowing that you got a guy that it really doesn't matter if they've got their A corner, play a man on him. It's like we feel like that's a win for us. Then I got my E list, and of course, call me biased, call me whatever you want, but Lewis and Yannick are on that list for me, both for very different reasons. Lewis is a guy that just loves the details, and he wants to know when he needs to be open, what my progression is, I would say the biggest thing he's getting really good at is knowing when to get open. It's great to know how to get open, and he's really kind of got that down, but when to get open. Hey, when do you need me open? And that's that level of detail that Lewis is paying attention to. And then you got Yannick, who watch anybody turn on a Surge game, and I promise you he jumped over somebody, and the guy was not on the ground. And it's like to have a guy like that. And as quarterback, I always say the definition of my job is to just get the athletes the ball. Like I am in no way part of that group, and I just get to throw things and they get to do the cool stuff. So Yannick is just that spark plug that you need. And so that tandem, those three guys, it's like pick your poison. How do you want to move the ball down the field? And so that makes my life really easy, and those guys do a great job. I can't a huge reason why I came back, knowing that those guys were going to be a part of it.
Attaboy, right? I'm curious, who else was on your receiver list? Both the A list and the E list. Who do you got?
Ooh. Some of the same. I got Jarvis on there, so the chat can be happy. I got Roby on there. One guy that you guys didn't mention is Weston Carr in Vienna, a guy that I actually played against for 2 years in college. And yeah, Vienna doesn't get credit for being sexy offensively, but that's a guy that can also do it all. I mean, he gave Mitch Fettig a couple tough reps in our game against them, and he's just a big, long, bouncy guy that is just a good football player. And then I got Markel and DJ on that A list. You can't make a list without those guys. Also, shout out to Willie P, Washington State guy. That's another one of those spark plug pieces. My E list, we got Mahungo, we got LG, Lewis Geyer, Harlan Quofi. You guys nailed that. And then kind of this athlete category as well with Yannick, Jordan Boa, and Wilsek. Those kind of round out my E guys.
Yeah.
And all for very different reasons, which is the beauty of making those lists. You can make a case for just about anybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
A strong list there, right, guy? I like that. You're a good list maker.
Yeah, I like lists, groceries, everything. Car keys, wallet, phone,
Any sort.
9
Hey,
yards.
you mentioned Vienna. You touched on him real quick before we let you go. Their new quarterback, I did a podcast with him yesterday, Ben Holmes. I was quite impressed with him just personally. Have you gotten to see much tape on him, and do you know about him as a quarterback at all?
I have not. I made it about 10 minutes into your podcast at the gym, and then had to go, and so haven't been able to finish it. But I plan to finish it because I do like hearing those guys' stories.
You turned off my podcast in the middle of it?
Not by choice. No, my locker wouldn't open, so I needed to take the headphones out to get my valuable belongings. But it'll get finished.
Okay.
But
that's okay.
No, there's also there's all sorts. I was thinking about this today. There's all sorts of guys that I'm excited to see, and it's always a fun curve to watch guys who are dominant in the U.S. come over here and either continue to dominate or struggle. And the only way you get to know that is by watching the games. And that's one of my favorite things about playing, certainly in this league, is if we're playing on a Sunday, I get to sit down with some of my teammates on a Saturday and watch the other guys, and vice versa if we play on a Saturday. And so I'm very much a football nerd and a football geek. And so any game I can get my hands on, I'm watching. So yeah, I can't comment on it, but I'll certainly have my own opinions that I won't put on a podcast by the end of the year, I'm sure.
Do you think that you'll do kind of a farewell tour of the game, or are you going to just leave it open? Because that was something that was hard for me. I was like, do I commit to just being done and then have a farewell tour type thing, or do I leave it open and then if I never play again, I never play again? It was hard for me to decide that, and I still just think about that.
Yeah, I think this last off season, and really the entire season was my farewell. Even getting hurt, I was like, okay, well, I still think I'm done. And then obviously not. But what it taught me is that I don't think that you're ever going to be content. Even when you know that it's time, you're not going to be happy with that. You're going to be like, I can still do it.
Yeah.
And so,
I
don't think there'll ever be a time that you're like, oh yeah, no, it's right. It's right to be done. But, I think other things just become more important or more prevalent, and you start putting your energy towards those.
Yeah. Now you're going to think about
this. Go. Right, guy. Way to go, man. Before
I just
we
read
we
this.
have to give a special shout out from the chat from Pat Hennessy, Riley's dad, who was laughing about his grocery list joke, which was a very good classic Hennessy style joke. So shout out from your dad there in the chat, right, guy?
Who gave that guy internet?
Bad Hennessy. Hey, he's great on the internet. We love you, Pat. Right, guy.
Absolutely.
Thanks so much, man, for coming on the show. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Hey, maybe we'll hang out in person, in a couple days.
Yeah, man.
Definitely.
40 minutes away, and then I never see you. So
classic now.
Hey, you have my number right here. Hey, text me on Quiver. All right, I'll see you on Quiver.
Yeah, I don't have it. It doesn't have a DM function yet.
Yeah, we don't have enough money for that, so we'll get there.
Quiver is about as delayed as Nick's voice this
guy.
whole episode.
Thanks for having me, guys.
There we go.
Take care.
See you, bro.
See you, right, guy.
Oh my gosh.
Can you hear me, Silas?
Yeah, bro, you've been delayed this whole time, but it's fine. We're okay with it.
Yeah, no, tough technical one. And
I couldn't. I was trying to
that's right, guy. I
input
love
more,
talking to right guy.
but then I thought that you were about to talk, and I was waiting for it, and then your voice just kept coming in. So I was like, I'll just let him do his thing.
Sorry, bro. The internet still waiting from Euronics to get us faster internet. Hopefully so.
Dude, it worked out well because my computer's on 4%. Like it's about to die, so this is perfect timing.
Perfect timing. We had a sense for it. Guys, thanks for joining us in the chat, talking ELF football with us. Hey, Silas, hopefully next week, a little bit less of a delay, and we'll get better every week, guys. We'll get better every week.
And during the season, it's going to get even better. So appreciate you guys. Thanks to the faithful in the chat. Thank you to Nick, my inspiration.
My man. Thanks, bro.
Have a good one, everybody.
Talk to you soon, Silas. See you.